The grand concourse of the Zerath Dominion's obsidian citadel stood like a black mountain carved from the heart of Valor Prime. Its walls rose so high that the ceiling disappeared into shadows. Thousands of lights floated in the air like cold stars. Today, the hall was full. Alien nobles from every corner of the spiral arm had come for the submission rite. This was the day weaker species bowed their heads, gave gifts, and promised to serve the Dominion forever. The Keltar stood tallest. Their bodies were covered in black shells, and their many legs clicked on the stone floor. Their mandibles moved fast when they spoke, making sharp sounds like breaking glass. Next came the Vorath, tall beings made of living crystal. Light moved inside their bodies in slow, beautiful patterns. When they were happy or angry, the colors changed fast. The Siserath moved like snakes with arms and legs. Their scales shone like metal under the lights, and long tails dragged behind them. All of them waited on raised platforms around the center of the hall. In the middle stood a huge throne made of dark metal and glowing red lines. On it sat Overlord Zefkir. His body was half machine, half living thing. His face was hidden behind a smooth mask with two bright white eyes. When he spoke, his voice came from speakers hidden in the walls. It made the floor shake a little. The gates at the far end opened with a loud groan. Everyone turned to look. A single figure walked in. He was human. His name was Elias Kane. He did not walk like a proud warrior. He limped. His armor was broken in many places. The chest plate had a big hole where something hot had burned through. One shoulder guard was gone completely. The other hung by thin wires. His left arm had no gauntlet, only skin, scars, and dried blood. The right leg made a whining sound with every step, like a machine about to die. His helmet was missing. His short dark hair was wet with sweat. His face had old burns on one side and fresh cuts on the other. But his eyes were steady. They looked straight ahead. He carried nothing in his hands except a long bundle wrapped in dark cloth. It rested across his back like a sleeping child. The hall was quiet for 1 second. Then the laughter started. A Keltar noble pointed with two of his front legs. His mandibles opened wide. "Look at the ape thing. He comes to us in broken metal rags." His voice was high and sharp. The other Keltar made clicking sounds that meant they agreed. A Vorath Crystal Lord sent bright yellow flashes through his body. The lights formed shapes in the air, pictures of a small human falling down again and again. The shapes moved in a funny way. The Vorath around him pulsed green and purple, which was their way of laughing hard. Even the Seserath, who usually stayed calm, hissed softly. Their tails flicked from side to side. One of them, a champion with extra bright scales, stepped forward a little. "Did your people not teach you how to clean yourself before you beg?" he said. His voice was smooth and cold. Elias did not answer. He kept walking. His broken armor scraped against the floor. Sparks flew when metal touched stone. Every step sounded painful, but he did not stop. He reached the center of the hall and stood still, right in front of the throne. Overlord Zefkir leaned forward. The red lines on his throne pulsed faster. "Human," he said. His voice filled the whole hall. "Your kind has always been stubborn. You lost your outer colonies, you lost your fleets. Your home world is next if you do not kneel today." Elias lifted his head. His voice was quiet, but clear. Everyone heard it because the hall had gone quiet again, waiting. "Terra sends no tribute," he said, "only a reminder." The laughter came back louder than before. A young Keltar noble almost fell off his platform because he was laughing so hard. "A reminder? From this broken toy soldier?" he shouted. Another Vorath made a new light picture. This time it showed Elias as a tiny child wearing a pot on his head for a helmet. The picture ran in circles, tripping over its own feet. The whole crystal section of the hall flashed bright with joy. The Sesserath champion walked closer. He was much taller than Elias. His armor looked perfect, smooth scales, sharp claws, and a long grav lance in his hand. The lance hummed with blue energy. "Show us your reminder, human," he said, "before we use you for target practice." Elias did not move fast. He reached behind his back with his good arm. His fingers closed around the cloth bundle. The hall watched. Some leaned forward. Some whispered. Most still smiled or made fun sounds. Elias pulled the cloth slowly. It fell away in soft folds. What came out was a sword. Not a big energy blade, not a glowing plasma edge, not even a fancy alien weapon with lights and sounds. It was just a sword. The blade was straight with a small curve near the end. The metal looked old, dull silver, not shiny. There were tiny marks along the edge, like lines carved by time. The handle was wrapped in dark, worn leather. The guard was simple steel, nothing fancy. It looked like something from a museum, something humans made thousands of years ago, before they left their small blue world. The silence lasted only a moment. Then the laughter exploded again. A Keltar shrieked. He brought a knife. A little metal stick. Vorath lights turned into spinning pictures of the sword breaking in half the moment it touched anything. The nobles clapped their crystal hands together. The Sesserath champion laughed loudest of all. "This is your weapon? This toy? You insult the Dominion with a dead thing from your past." Even Overlord Zethkir tilted his head, his white eyes narrowed. "Explain, human," he said, "or we will end this joke now." Elias raised the sword slowly. He held it with both hands. The broken armor creaked as he moved. He stood straight, even though one leg shook a little. "This is the last blade of the Damascus line," he said. His voice was calm. "Forged on Earth, long before we reached the stars. It has cut through many things that thought they could not be cut." More laughter. Someone shouted, "Then let it try." The Sesserath champion stepped forward. His grav lance lit up brighter. "I will break your toy," he said, "and then I will break you." Elias did not step back. He simply waited. The champion moved fast. His long legs carried him across the floor in 2 big steps. The lance came down in a bright arc, strong enough to cut through ship armor. Elias shifted his weight. His broken armor screamed in pain. The sword came up in a short, clean line. There was no flash, no loud sound. Just a soft snap. The grav lance broke in 2. The energy died. Blue sparks fell to the floor, like dying fireflies. The champion stopped. He stared at the broken weapon in his hand. The hall became very quiet. Elias turned the sword once in his hand. The old steel caught the light for a moment. Then he spoke again, still quiet. "Humans do not always fight with the newest things," he said. "We fight with the things that refuse to die." No one laughed. The silence in the grand concourse did not last long. At first it was only a few soft clicks from the Keltar nearest the broken champion. Then a low hiss from a Sesserath. Then the Vorath lights flickered once, uncertain, before bursting back into bright yellow mockery. The champion still stood there, staring at the 2 pieces of his grav lance on the floor. Blue sparks popped and died between the broken ends. His tail twitched once, then went still. Blood, his own green blood, started to drip from a small cut on his scaled arm, where the snap had thrown shards. Elias Kane did not move. He held the old sword low, point toward the ground. His broken armor hissed steam from a cracked joint in the shoulder. One drop of hydraulic fluid fell and sizzled on the black stone. Overlord Zethkar sat very still on his throne. The red lines on the metal pulsed slow and steady now, like a heartbeat that was trying to stay calm. His white eyes locked on the human. "You dare strike first in my hall?" Zethkar said. His voice came through every speaker, but it was not as loud as before. It sounded careful. Elias answered without raising his voice. "He struck first. I only answered." A murmur ran through the platforms. Some nobles leaned forward. Others moved back a step. The Keltar grandee who had laughed loudest before now clicked his mandibles slowly. "Luck," he said. "Only luck. The lance was old. The human got lucky." More voices joined him. "Yes, luck. A fluke. The toy blade cannot do it again." The Sesserath champion finally looked up from his broken weapon. His eyes were narrow slits. He dropped the ruined lance. It clanged on the stone. Then he reached to his side and pulled a short, curved mono blade from his belt. The edge shimmered with a faint silver light, sharp enough to cut light itself, the Dominion claimed. His voice was low and angry. He stepped forward again. This time, slower. More careful. His tail stayed low for balance. Claws clicked on the floor. Elias raised the sword a little. He shifted his weight to his good leg. The bad one whined louder. The champion lunged. The monoblade came in fast. A silver blur aimed at Elias's neck. Elias turned his body just enough. The broken armor scraped as he moved. The monoblade scraped along the chest plate instead of cutting flesh. Sparks flew. A long scratch appeared in the ceramite. Then Elias stepped in close, too close for the long alien arms. The old sword flicked up in a short arc. There was no big swing, no shout, just a quick, clean motion. The monoblade met the Damascus steel. A high, clear ring filled the hall, like a bell struck once. The champion's weapon broke at the hilt. The silver blade spun away and stuck point first in the stone floor, 10 meters behind him. The champion froze. His empty hand stayed raised. Elias did not stop. He brought the sword down in a straight line. The champion tried to block with his forearm. Scales parted like paper. Green blood sprayed in a clean arc. The arm fell to the floor with a wet slap. The champion screamed, a high, sharp sound that echoed off the obsidian walls. He dropped to one knee. His other arm clutched the stump. Elias stepped back one pace. The sword stayed ready, point low again. The hall was quiet now. No laughter, no clicking, no hissing. Only breathing, heavy breathing from hundreds of alien throats. A Vorath crystal lord pulsed once, bright red, then dimmed to almost nothing. Fear colors, Elias knew from old briefings. Zethkar stood up slowly. His throne creaked. The red lines flared bright for a second, then settled. "Enough," he said. Two Sesserath guards moved forward from the sides of the throne. They carried long face pikes, weapons that could burn through steel in one touch. Their scales were dull gray, not shiny like the champion's. These were not nobles. These were soldiers. They pointed the pikes at Elias. "Stand down, human," Zethkar ordered, "or we burn you where you stand." Elias looked at the pikes, then at Zethkar, then at the dead champion on the floor. "I came to deliver a message," he said, "not to die for sport." A Keltar noble shouted from the back, "Then kneel and give tribute. Your worlds are ours." Elias shook his head once. "No." The guards took one step closer. The phase pikes hummed louder. Heat waves rose from the tips. Elias lifted the sword higher. He turned it so the edge caught the floating lights. For the first time, the old steel seemed to shine, not bright like Dominion weapons, but steady, like it remembered every fight it had won. One of the guards hesitated. The other did not. He thrust the pike forward. Elias moved again. His bad leg buckled a little, but he caught himself. The pike missed his side by centimeters. The heat scorched the broken armor black. Elias twisted. The sword came around in a wide circle. The pike met the blade. Another clear ring. The phase pike snapped. The energy tip died with a pop. The guards stared at the smoking stump in his hands. Elias did not give him time to think. He stepped in and drove the sword point first through the gap under the guard's helmet. The steel went in clean. The guard made a choking sound and fell backward. The second guard swung his pike hard. Elias ducked. The heat passed over his head. Hair singed. He came up fast. The sword slashed across the guard's legs. Scales parted. Tendons cut. The guard dropped with a crash. Both guards lay still. Elias stood straight again. Blood dripped from the sword tip, green this time. His own blood still leaked from the cuts on his face. The hall stayed silent. Zethkir's white eyes were wide now. The mask could not hide it. "You are one man," he said, "broken, bleeding, alone." Elias nodded once. "Yes." "Then why fight?" "Because someone has to," Elias said, "and today it is me." A Vorath noble whispered something. The words spread fast along the crystal platforms. The lights turned soft blue. Confusion. Doubt. A Keltar voice called out, quieter than before. "What is that sword made of?" Elias looked at the blade. "Steel," he said. "Old earth steel, folded many times, tempered in fire. It does not care if the enemy is bigger. It does not care if the armor is stronger. It only cares about cutting true." He wiped the green blood off on the edge of his torn cloak. The steel gleamed again. Zethkir sat back down, slow, careful. "We will speak more," he said. "But not here. Not now." Elias lowered the sword a little. "I did not come to talk peace," he said. "I came to show you something." "What?" Zethkir asked. "That humans do not break easy," Elias answered. "And when you think we are finished, that is when we start." No one answered. Elias turned slowly. He faced the gates he had walked through. His bad leg dragged, his armor wheezed. Blood dripped down his arm and pattered on the stone. But he walked, step by painful step. No one stopped him. The nobles watched in silence. The floating lights dimmed. The colors faded. Behind him, the body of the champion lay in two clean pieces. The guards lay still, and the old sword rested across Elias's back again, wrapped in the dark cloth once more. He reached the gates. He stopped for one moment. Then he stepped out into the black corridor beyond. The heavy doors closed behind him with a deep boom. Inside the hall, no one moved for a long time. The doors of the grand concourse closed behind Elias Kane with a heavy thud that echoed like the last breath of a dying machine. Inside, the hall remained frozen. Hundreds of alien eyes stayed fixed on the spot where the human had stood. Green blood pooled on the black stone floor around the fallen guards and the champion. The air smelled of scorched metal, ozone, and the sharp copper tang of alien life. Overlord Zethkir remained standing. His synthetic fingers gripped the arms of the throne so hard the dark metal creaked. The red lines across his armor pulsed unevenly now, no longer calm. He stared at the closed gates as if the human might walk back through them at any moment. A Keltar noble broke the silence first. His voice was lower than before, almost a whisper. "He is gone. We let him go." Another Keltar clicked angrily. "We let one broken ape walk out after killing 3 of our best?" The murmurs grew, some angry, some afraid. The Vorath crystals flickered in soft violet patterns, colors of unease and doubt. A few nobles on the lower platforms shifted their weight, ready to leave. Zethkir raised one hand. The hall fell quiet again. "He will not leave Valor Prime alive," the Overlord said. His voice was steady, but the speakers made it sound thinner than usual. "Send the hunters, quietly. No spectacle. Bring me his head before the night cycle ends." A group of Sesserath stepped forward from the shadows near the throne. These were not champions in bright armor. These were stalkers, dark-scaled, silent, with cloaking fields that bent light around their bodies. Their eyes glowed faint green in the dim corners. Each carried a neural lash and a short vibro knife. They bowed once, then vanished into the side passages like smoke. The nobles watched them go. No one cheered. No one laughed. Outside the citadel, the landing field stretched wide under a sky the color of old steel. Wind carried dust across the black tarmac. Elias walked slowly toward the small human dropship that waited at the far edge. The ship looked old, patched hull, mismatched plates, engines that coughed blue smoke when they idled. It was the kind of craft no one noticed until it was too late. His bad leg dragged with every step. The armor's whine had turned into a grinding screech. Fluid leaked from the knee joint in dark streaks. Blood from his face dripped onto the collar of his undersuit. He kept the wrapped sword across his back. One hand rested on the hilt, ready. He did not look behind him. Halfway across the field, he felt it, the prickle on the back of his neck that every soldier knows. Someone watching, someone close. He stopped. 3 Asarath stalkers appeared from nothing. Their cloaks dropped, scales gleamed dull under the floodlights. The leader was taller, with extra scars across his snout. "The Overlord wants your life. Come quiet, or we take it here." Elias turned slowly. He faced them. The wind tugged at the torn edges of his cloak. "I told you," he said. "I came to deliver a reminder, not to die." The stalkers spread out. One circled left, one right. The leader stayed center. Their vibro knives hummed low. "You killed in the hall," the leader said. "Now you pay." Elias reached back and pulled the cloth from the sword. The old steel caught the light again. Steady, patient. The stalkers moved. They were fast, faster than the champion had been. They attacked together. No wasted motion. Vibro knives slashed in from 3 directions. Elias dropped to one knee. His bad leg protested with a sharp crack of metal. He ignored it. The sword came up in a tight arc. The first stalker's knife met the blade. Sparks flew. The vibro field died with a pop. The knife snapped. The steel cut across the stalker's chest. Scales parted. The stalker fell without a sound. The second came from the side. His lash whipped out. Thin wires charged with neural fire. Elias rolled under it. The wires snapped past his head. He came up swinging. The sword took the stalker's arm at the elbow. The limb hit the ground, still twitching. Green blood sprayed. The leader roared and charged straight, both knives high. Elias met him head-on. No dodge this time. He stepped into the attack. The broken armor took the first knife. Ceramite cracked deeper but held. Pain flared in Elias's side. Hot, wet. He did not stop. The sword drove forward in a straight thrust. It found the gap under the leader's jaw. Steel went through scale, through flesh, out the back of the neck. The leader's eyes widened. He dropped. Elias pulled the blade free. Blood ran down the fuller in clean lines. He stood there for a moment, breathing hard. The wind carried the smell of death across the field. The dropship ramp was down. A single human pilot waited at the top. Young, wide-eyed, helmet under one arm. "Sir?" the pilot called. "You okay?" Elias started walking again, slower now. Each step hurt more. "Get engines hot," he said. "We lift in 2 minutes." Inside the citadel, alarms began to sound, soft at first, then louder. Red lights flashed along the corridors. Zeth watched from a high balcony. A screen showed the landing field. 3 stalker bodies on the tarmac, 1 human limping toward a battered ship. The Overlord's mask hid his expression, but his voice shook when he spoke to the empty air. "Launch interceptors," he ordered. "Do not let that ship leave orbit." A voice answered from the shadows. "Overlord, the human vessel is already powering. It has old stealth plating. Signature is weak." "Then burn the sky until you find it," Zeth said. In the hall below, the nobles had started to leave. Platforms emptied. No one wanted to stay near the blood on the floor. A Vorath Crystal Lord lingered. His body pulsed slow blue. He spoke to no one in particular. "That sword," he said, "it is not magic. It is not advanced. Yet it cuts what our best cannot." A Keltar nearby clicked softly. "Humans make things that last," he said, "even when everything else breaks." The Vorath dimmed, and they remember how to use them. Outside, Elias reached the ramp. He climbed. Each step pulled at the wound in his side. The pilot helped him the last few meters. "Strap in, sir," the pilot said. "We're not waiting for clearance." Elias sat in the co-pilot chair. He laid the sword across his lap. Blood smeared the leather wrap. The ship lifted. Engines roared. Dust swirled below. Above them, Dominion interceptors screamed into the sky, sharp arrow-shaped ships with glowing engines. The dropship climbed fast. It banked hard toward the dark side of the planet. Alarms wailed inside the cockpit. "Missiles locked," the pilot said. 3 incoming." Elias closed his eyes for 1 second. Then he opened them. "Keep flying," he said. "They will miss." The pilot looked at him. "How do you know?" "Because," Elias said, "they still think we are broken." The first missile streaked past, too high. The second exploded far behind, bright flash in the night. The third came closer. The pilot rolled the ship hard. The missile grazed the hull. Sparks flew inside. Warning lights flashed red. But the ship kept climbing. Atmosphere thinned. Stars appeared. The interceptors fell behind. Their engines were fast. But the old dropship had tricks. Old ECM, patch stealth, a pilot who knew how to hide in the black. They broke orbit. Valor Prime shrank behind them. Elias looked at the sword in his lap. The steel was still clean where it mattered. The blood had dried in thin lines. He wrapped it again, slow, careful. The pilot glanced over. "Where to now, sir?" "Home," Elias said. "Terra." The pilot nodded. He set course. Behind them, in the citadel, Zeth stared at the empty sky. No laughter remained in the hall. Only silence, and the memory of one man who walked in broken, fought with something old, and walked out alive. The small dropship slipped into the black between stars. Engines hummed low now, almost quiet. Inside the cockpit, red warning lights blinked slow and steady. Air smelled of burnt wiring and old sweat. Elias Kane sat heavy in the co-pilot seat. His broken armor no longer moved right. The left arm hung limp. The chest plate gaped wider, where the stalker's knife had bitten deep. Blood soaked the undersuit dark. He breathed in short pulls. Each breath hurt. The young pilot, his name was Reyes, kept eyes on the nav screen. Fingers danced over controls. "We're clear of Valor's outer patrols," he said, "but they'll chase. Dominion doesn't like loose ends." Elias nodded once. He did not speak. His right hand rested on the wrapped sword across his knees. The cloth was stiff with dried blood, human red and alien green mixed together. Reyes glanced sideways. "You need a med patch, sir. You're leaking." "Later," Elias said. His voice came rough. "No signals." Reyes nodded. He killed the running lights. The ship became a shadow among shadows. Back on Valor Prime, in the deepest war room under the Citadel, Overlord Zethkir stood before a wall of glowing screens. Dominion fleet markers moved like angry insects. 3 heavy cruisers had already left high orbit. Smaller hunter ships spread wide in a net. They hunted for the faint heat signature of one old dropship. A Sarath admiral stood at attention beside him, scales dull under the cold light. "The human vessel is wounded," the admiral said. "Engines are old. They cannot run forever." Zethkir's white eyes stayed on the screens. "He killed in my hall, in front of every noble. If he reaches Terra, the story spreads. Weak species will listen. They will stop kneeling." The admiral clicked once. "We will burn him from the sky." Zethkir turned. "No, I want him alive. I want to know why it cuts what our weapons cannot." The admiral bowed. "As you command." In the dropship, silence stretched long. Reyes broke it first. "Sir, back there, the sword. How does it do that?" Elias looked down at the bundle. Slow, he unwrapped it again. The steel blade looked plain. No glow, no runes. Just old metal with faint wave patterns from ancient folding. "It is not the sword," Elias said. "It is what made it. Men on Earth long ago, they hammered steel over and over, heated it, cooled it slow, broke it, forged it again, until the metal remembered how to be strong." Reyes stared. "Like us." Elias gave the smallest nod. "Like us." A soft beep from the console. Reyes tensed. "Contact. 2 hunters closing fast. They have our trail." Elias pushed himself up. Pain shot through his side. He ignored it. "How long?" 3 minutes to range." Elias moved to the small weapons locker. He pulled out a single heavy pistol. Old Terran make, scarred grip. He checked the charge. Half full. Enough. Reyes looked back. "We can't fight cruisers, sir." "We don't have to," Elias said. "We just have to survive long enough." He limped to the rear hatch. The ship had a small airlock. He opened the inner door, sat on the bench, laid the sword beside him. Reyes' voice came over the speaker. "What are you doing?" "Buying time," Elias said. He pulled a breather mask from the wall, strapped it on, then he hit the outer hatch control. The hatch hissed open. Cold vacuum pulled at him. Stars wheeled outside. Elias stepped to the edge. One hand held a safety line, the other held the sword. The hunters appeared on the scope first, sharp delta shapes, engines blue-white. They closed fast. Reyes banked hard. The dropship rolled. Missiles streaked past. One clipped the wing. Alarms howled. Elias braced against the frame. He waited. The first hunter overshot. It turned wide to come back. Elias pushed off. He floated free. The safety line snapped taut. He swung like a slow pendulum, the sword in his right hand. His broken armor leaked air in tiny crystals. The hunter came around. Its nose guns lit up, rapid-fire kinetic rounds. Elias twisted his body. Most rounds missed. A few hit. Ceramite cracked more. Pain flared hot in his shoulder. He did not let go. He swung closer. The hunter's hull was smooth, black, perfect. Elias reached out. The sword tip found a sensor array. He drove it in. Sparks bloomed silent in vacuum. The hunter lurched. Lights flickered. He pulled the blade free. Swung again. This time he aimed for the cockpit canopy. The pilot inside saw him too late. The sword struck. Old steel met Dominion crystal steel. It parted. A hairline crack appeared. Air exploded out in white frost. The hunter spun wild. Engines died. It tumbled away dark. Elias pulled on the line. Back to the hatch. He climbed in slow. Blood floated inside the mask. Reyes' voice cracked. "Holy, you just boarded a hunter in vacuum." Elias sealed the hatch, collapsed against the wall. One down. The second hunter was smarter. It stayed back. launched drones, small, fast, armed with plasma cutters. Reyes rolled the ship again. They're cutting us open. Elias pushed up. Get me close to the second one. Reyes stared. You're half dead. Do it. Reyes cursed under his breath. He pushed engines to max. The dropship groaned. It charged straight at the hunter. The hunter fired. Plasma bolts lit space. Reyes jinked. Most missed. One grazed the belly. Hull breached. Air howled out. Elias opened the hatch again. This time he did not tether. He jumped. He floated toward the hunter. Slow, steady. The sword held two-handed. Drones swarmed him. Plasma cutters glowed red. Elias spun once. The blade flashed. One drone split in half. Another exploded when the sword grazed its core. He kept moving. The hunter tried to reverse. Too late. Elias hit the hull boots first. Magnets in his soles locked. He ran along the side, limping, bleeding, but moving. He reached the engine nacelle, drove the sword into the exhaust port. Metal screamed. The blade sank deep. Sparks bloomed. The engine flared once, bright, then died. The hunter lost power. It drifted. Elias pulled the sword free, jumped back toward the dropship. Reyes matched speed, opened the hatch. Elias caught the edge, pulled himself in. He collapsed inside. The hatch sealed. Air rushed back. He lay there, breathing hard, the sword beside him, still whole. Reyes' voice came quiet. Both hunters down. Cruisers are still far. We might make the jump point. Elias closed his eyes. Good. He did not move for a long minute. Then he spoke again. They will send more. Always more. Reyes turned in his seat. Then what? Elias looked at the blade. Then we keep reminding them. He wrapped the sword slow. Hands shook now. Blood smeared fresh on the cloth. The dropship limped on. Engines coughed. Hull groaned. Behind them, the Dominion hunters floated dead in the black. Ahead, stars waited. And somewhere deep in the citadel, Zethkir watched the last telemetry feed die. His white eyes narrowed. He lives, he said to the empty room. No one answered. But the silence carried weight. The weight of one man, one sword, one reminder that refused to break. The dropship hurtled through the void, toward the jump point. Engines strained. The hull groaned with every small correction. Inside, warning lights painted the cockpit red. Air hissed from small breaches, patched with emergency foam. Elias Kane sat slumped in the co-pilot seat. His breathing came shallow. Blood had dried in dark lines down his neck and chest. The broken armor no longer sealed. Cold leaked in. Pain throbbed steady in his side, his shoulder, his leg. Reyes kept one hand on the controls. The other wiped sweat from his face. Jump drive is spooling, he said. 30 seconds. If the Dominion doesn't catch us first. Elias looked out the forward viewport. Stars stretched into thin lines. The black was deep. No sign of pursuit yet. But he knew better. The Dominion never gave up easy. A soft chime sounded. Incoming transmission. Encrypted. Dominion signature. Reyes tensed. They're hailing us. His hand shook a little. He hit accept. The screen flickered. Overlord Zethkir appeared. The mask looked colder under the harsh light. White eyes stared straight through the feed. Human, Zethkir said. You have gone far enough. Power down. Surrender the blade. Your life may be spared. Elias did not answer right away. He breathed once, deep, then spoke. No, Zethkir leaned closer to the pickup. You are one man, wounded. Your ship is dying. Terra is weeks away at best. You cannot win. Elias looked at the wrapped sword on his lap. I already did. The Overlord paused. Explain. You laughed, Elias said. Your nobles laughed. Your champion laughed. They saw broken armor. They saw an old sword. They thought the fight was over before it started. He paused. Blood dripped from his chin onto the cloth. But when the steel came out, he continued, no one laughed. Your best died clean. Your hunters died in the dark. And now you chase one bleeding man across empty space. That is not winning. Zethkir's voice dropped lower. We are the Dominion. We break worlds. We break species. One man changes nothing. Elias lifted his head, eyes steady, even through pain. One man reminds, he said, and reminders spread. Every species in your hall saw it. Every noble who ran will tell others. Every soldier who watched the feed will whisper. The story grows. Humans do not kneel easy. Humans remember old things. Humans cut when you think they are finished. Silence on the line. Then Zethkir spoke again. Return the sword. We will study it. Perhaps your people can join us. Equals. Elias almost smiled. Small, tired. You want the sword because it frightens you, he said. Not because you respect it. You want to break it, like you break everything else. He unwrapped the blade slow. The old steel caught starlight through the viewport. Plain, honest, unbroken. This blade has no power cells, Elias said. No energy field, no smart metal. It is steel, folded, hammered, tested by men who died so others could live. It does not promise victory. It promises only truth. He held the sword up, edge toward the screen. And the truth is, he said, you cannot take everything, not forever. Zethkir stared. The red lines on his armor pulsed fast once, then slow. You will die out there, he said. Maybe, Elias answered, but not today. He cut the transmission. The screen went dark. Reyes exhaled hard. Jump drive ready. Elias nodded. Take us home. Reyes pushed the lever forward. Space folded. Colors twisted. The stars snapped back into place on the other side. They were through. The Dominion cruisers arrived at the empty jump point seconds later. Too late. Sensors swept wide. Found nothing but fading ion trails. In the Citadel war room, Zethkir stood alone. Screens showed empty space. Reports scrolled. Losses tallied. Hunters destroyed. Reputation cracked. He turned away from the screens. A single Keltar aide waited in the doorway, nervous, mandibles clicking soft. Overlord, the aide said. The nobles ask, what now? Zethkir did not answer right away. He walked to a high window, looked out at Valor Prime's black surface. Lights of the city glittered below like cold stars. Tell them, he said at last, we wait. The aide tilted his head. Wait? Yes, Zethkir said, we wait, because humans do not forget, and next time, they will come with more than one sword. The aide bowed low and left. Zethkir stayed at the window, alone. Far away, the dropship limped towards Sol. Engines ran hot, hull patched rough. Life support flickered. Inside, Elias lay on the med bench in the small crew bay. Reyes had stripped the worst of the armor away, applied seals, injected painkillers, bandaged what he could. Elias stared at the ceiling. Sword rested beside him, clean now, wrapped fresh. Reyes sat nearby. You think they'll come for Terra? Elias closed his eyes. They might. Then what? Elias opened his eyes again, looked at the young pilot. Then we remind them again, he said. And again, until they learn. Reyes nodded slow. Silence fell. The ship flew on. Weeks passed in jump after jump. Repairs, rest. Elias healed slow. Scars added to old ones. The sword stayed close, never far from reach. When they finally dropped into Sol System, Terra filled the viewport. Blue and green and white. Home. The dropship broadcast old codes. Clearance came fast. No questions. Just welcome. They landed on a small field outside New Damascus. Dust rose around the battered hull. Ground crews ran forward. Med teams, engineers. Elias stepped out last. No armor now, just fatigues. Bandages visible under the shirt. Sword across his back again. A crowd waited. Not big, but quiet. Soldiers, civilians, children. They watched him walk down the ramp. No cheers, no shouts. Just nods, small smiles, hands on hearts. One old Marine stepped forward, face lined, eyes hard. "Welcome back, Kane," he said. Elias nodded. "It's done." The Marine looked at the wrapped bundle. The reminder? Elias touched the hilt once. "Still here." The Marine smiled thin. "Good. We might need it again." Elias looked past him, at the sky, at the stars beyond. "Maybe," he said, "but not today." He walked forward, crowd parted, let him through. Behind him, the dropship sat quiet, engines cooling. And somewhere far across the spiral arm, in a black citadel, an overlord stared at reports of whispers. Whispers in alien tongues. Stories of a broken man, a simple sword, a hull that mocked and then went silent. The whispers grew, and none laughed. Not anymore.